I wonder how the video is doing. Oh, huh. Well then. Well, I'm definitely glad that a lot more people are checking out the game I love so much. I'm still not sure that I will make more regular videos, but I felt I should make a follow-up. You see, as I was done with recording the script for the video, I noticed that I totally forgot to script anything about the level design. Which is like one of the most important parts of the whole thing. So I did record that the next day. Then, as I was rewatching my already uploaded video, I realized, besides the one on-screen meta text at the end, I totally forgot to talk about the game's mechanics. Imagine, I mean, those things are the baseline for me, you see, it goes without saying. But as I mentioned in the last video, there is a barrier to entry to this game due to one particular mechanical difference AMC Squad got compared to most other retro style or boomer shooters. And that is damage types. So when you are starting the game, you have a choice of 5 difficulties: Story, Standard, Expert, Professional, and Armageddon. What I've seen multiple times is a boomer shooter fan defaulting to Expert or Professional because of Madoom difficulty, and then getting plastered all across the walls when they can't damage a sorcerer enemy at all. While it was worse in earlier versions, the current version of the game very much spells out what each difficulty entails. Story mode is the one with no damage type system at all. It's a painless ride through the story. Weirdly enough, it's probably also the difficulty level that fits the boomer shooter fans the most, because they don't actually have to deal with the damage type just going ham and killing everyone in sight. Standard is, well, it's standard, but this is where the damage type system first appears, with enemies having a 50% damage type resistances. Then, on Expert and above, that changed to some enemies having 100% resistances, alongside the fatigue system that forces the player to alternate between characters, unless the mission is locked to the fatigue character in the first place. Higher tier enemies also tend to appear earlier on these higher difficulties, which is why I recommend starting the game out at least on standard difficulty, unlock some research and upgrades, especially the personal shield as it's pretty much a must, then try the higher difficulty options. So, what are the damage types? Well, if we want to be precise, they are mostly anti-armor type damage types. There are like 7 types of enemies with 6 types of armor, and as such 6 types of primary damage types and 3 secondary elemental damage types. And you can check what weapons do what damage type in the armory of the base as shown on the screen. See the small white X in your crosshair? That means your shot hit the enemy, and their standard damage. If these enemies are humanoid with a head, which usually humanoids have, or have more obvious weak spots, which are very rare, then shooting them in the spot will deal increased damage, maybe even double damage. This is indicated by a yellow X in your crosshair, which also happens if you shoot enemies with the type of damage that they are weak against. However, when you shoot an enemy with partial resistance, you can see a blue X on the crosshair and hear a very distinct sound. Enemies with full resistance give you a red X and another distinct sound. It's interesting to note how each of the damage type enemies have different sounds to them when you are doing damage to them. Standard enemies don't have any armor, so your weapons do their regular damage to them. Body armored enemies have Kevlar, bulletproof vests and similar, like the standard pickups. For these enemies, you usually have 2 choices: either shoot them in the head, or use something spiky like flechette shells or anti-body armor bullets. Magic attacks or lasers are usually good against them as well. Heavy armored enemies are mostly the same, though usually the headshot doesn't work on them anymore. They are covered in armor head to toe. Flechette and anti-armor works, but often anti-personal explosive don't. Magic also seems to deal less damage, but lightning elemental attacks usually work well. Robotic armor, usually used by robotic enemies and mechs, are again similar but even heavier than regular heavy armor. Magic attacks are usually bad against them, and this is when you bring out the really big guns. Supernatural enemies have magical armor, which most often nullifies most conventional projectiles. Silver bullet, magic, and high-tech lasers, however, can be cured against them. Fight fire with fire, I guess. Somewhat of a new addition, as it only appeared in recent versions, is kitten armor, usually used by more bug-like aliens or monsters. Shotguns work against them well, and fire especially decimates them, but piercing lasers and other high-tech arsenal, usually they resist all those. And last but not least, there is okay, let's not do that again. Right? Okay. So, besides these primary damage types, there is also secondary damage types that were somewhat mentioned before. These are elemental damage types that basically fit with the good old RPG trio of elements: fire, ice, and lightning. They are mostly self-explanatory. Fire burns enemies and is especially good against kitten armor. Lightning or electric can be good against body armor, heavy armor, and supernatural, especially if the enemy is standing on metallic surfaces or in the water, as that actually increases damage dealt. And ice makes enemies slower and eventually freeze and shatter. It's good against body armor and supernatural, but not very good against heavy armor. There is technically one more damage type, but it's somewhat rare. If you beat episodes 1 and 2 on expert difficulty, you can unlock gold weapons for slots 2 and 3 for some of the characters. These weapons usually deal less damage than their counterparts, however, they completely ignore enemy armor, so they deal standard damage to all and every armor type with the sole expansion of That's mostly it, I think. If you pay attention to damage types, especially on harder difficulties, the rest of the game should be self-explanatory if you are any familiar with FPS games. All I can give you are a few other advices, I guess. As I said before, but worth repeating, start on story or standard difficulty first, get a lot of upgrades, then try harder difficulties just after that. Upgrades and research carries over, so it's consistently safe to your game progression. So upgrades like the portable shield and refillable medkit and some others are a must, and you should just get those before starting any sort of harder difficulties. Inventory items and gadgets, or whatever you want to call them, are still here from the 2D. They are mostly the same, though they can be swapped in the loadout menu. Like different kinds of vision goggles like night vision, heat vision, ghost vision, and all that. Two types, the so-called R items or speed items, and the Age items or Holoduke items from the 3D are unique to the character and can give you quite a lot of health if you use them well enough. The PDU can be really useful. Not only you can use it to check what keys or special ammo you have, in scanning mode you can scan specific things like preplaced remains, switches, wall cracks, and others. Not only it can help you in finding secrets, but each scan also gives you one of their currencies, polymers, which are mostly used to upgrade a character's default arsenal, but not the alternate weapons. Until your bestiary is complete, keep an MIA gun with you at all times as one of the slot 1 temporary weapons in your loadout. This is basically a research gun that you analyze enemies with for new research. There are also some alternative MIA grenade ammo for some weapons that can also do this. If you are out of ammo and want to conserve what you got, and you only have your fist weapons instead of any temporary weapons, you can use alternate fire to lock onto enemies and do some sick melee moves that could really help out. You can use alternate fire with the police shotgun temporary weapon, dropped by the pickups usually, to convert its ammo to shells for your slot 3 shotgun type weapon, if your slot 3 weapon is a shotgun of some sort, so basically not a magic spell or a melee weapon. Once you research the precog brain, I think already available after the first mission, you will be able to predict what sort of enemies you might face in the next mission. Use this to prepare your loadout. And once you build a cafeteria, you can buy food here that gives you a specific boost for the direction of the next mission. Alright, I think that's it. There's still some other stuff because there's always some other stuff in this game, like weapon ballistics and such, but you can figure it out, alright? Alright, so that was the video. I felt that I needed to do follow-up since I did miss the one point about the game mechanics, and well, that's what I did. I'm not sure if I want to make new videos. I do have some ideas, I actually have some ideas, but I'm not sure if I want to make this my job or anything like that. I heard a lot of horror stories about people becoming like YouTubers or streamers, and that kind of just not going too well, especially currently with like the whole algorithm thing. Apparently I was really lucky in writing the algorithm to get all these views that I have. I thought I could only have like 10 views or something, and that would have been enough because I just wanted to make like a video that people can share to show what AMC is about, because there was never really like a video like that. So I do have ideas to talk about if people are interested, but I'm not sure if you should like expect like very analytical game design videos like Game Maker's Toolkit or Architect of Games and other channels do. It's not kind of my thing. I usually like to do my job rather than talk about my job. It's, as I said earlier, it's very self-explanatory and goes without saying to me when it comes to like game design and whatnot, because I've been doing this for like quite a while. Like 8 years is like one thing, but most of my life I've been making levels or mods or whatnot. I just sit down and do it, basically. So I'm not sure if I can like really analyze stuff. However, what I could do is content based on like obscure games or old game ideas or gaming ideas that kind of just disappeared. Like I could talk about like game expansions and how they were on PC, because I'm also a PC gamer, and in the past, like in the 90s. Or another idea is like me talking about why I like making sewer levels. Yes, I am that level designer who likes making sewer levels. I could talk about that. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I yap about this sort of thing? Are you interested in just like sort of, I guess, anecdotes about the vibe of creation, of game creation or level design, or the vibe of escapism in games? I don't know. Write something in the comments and maybe I do something. Probably not that frequently, maybe once a month. Okay, see ya.